Welcome to the Pick Your Lane podcast with your hosts, Chad Robinson and Peter Lount, featuring successful entrepreneurs and investors who have created financial and time freedom through their passive income and picked their lane through an investment or business in pursuit of bringing them a better future. Now let's get started.
All right, welcome to the Pick Your Lane podcast. Today you've got myself, obviously your host, Peter Lount, co-host Chad Robinson, and our special guest today is Dalia Barsoum. Dalia is recognized as one of the top 100 global mortgage professionals, Canada's Mortgage Broker of the Year in 2023, and a member of Forbes Financial Council. Dalia is a best-selling author of Canadian Investor Financing and is the founder of Canada's top brokerage in income, property financing, and multi-award-winning team, StreetWise Mortgages, and real estate advisory firm StreetWise Wealth. Dalia and her team are known for taking a strategic and holistic approach to financing income properties, and they help thousands of real estate investors build the portfolio of their dreams while managing leverage risk. The team has funded over $1.5 billion of mortgages and is on mission to help Canadians financially prosper through property investing and creating abundance, peace of mind, and time freedom. Dalia, welcome.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Chad.
You're welcome.
Really
Great to have you here.
Dalia, that was a bit of a mouthful. You have a pretty prolific career to this point, but maybe that kind of is the tip of the iceberg. But maybe we can talk about a little bit about, first of all, expand upon that. What's your journey? How did you get to where you are, and why you're focused on this specific lane?
I got into mortgage brokering, Peter, back in 2011 after working for the banking sector for about 15 years. And I really stepped into mortgage brokering by coincidence in a way, because I was looking at the time to get into real estate more heavily. I was a real estate investor and wanted to get deeper into real estate. So I wasn't actually sure whether I'm going to be a realtor, a mortgage broker, what am I going to be in real estate, full-time investor? And what ended up happening is I said, you know what, I want to own my own business. I want to have more control over my time. I had a little kid at the time, leaving the bank at a senior position. And I thought, you know what, with all of my money background, being in a banking environment and coming from a financial planning background, which was my last 5 years with the bank, mortgages make sense as an investor. And it's an area that intrigued me because as a real estate investor myself back then, I could see that there is an opportunity to do things differently on income properties. So I stepped into it and I started to basically combine the methodologies that I learned in the banking system about financial planning with mortgage financing. So I started to look at plans for real estate investors who wanted to eventually quit their jobs or build a large portfolio. And I started to map out financing on how they're going to get there. And that's how it all started. And now it's history. It's the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, so good. And you said you're pretty prolific in the field and what you've created in the last decade and a bit. And so it started with yourself as an investor. So you're investing yourself too?
Yes, I'm a real estate investor myself. I invest in Barrie, Peterborough, Toronto, and obviously as a mortgage broker, I supplement my property holdings with private money as a lender as well. But when I first started the business, it was just myself. I was doing everything from, cleaning the toilets and mopping the floors and driving all around to, meet clients. And then over time, I grew to where I am right now, which is collectively, we're a team of 15.
You talk about you talk about helping build out plans or, people to reach their goals. How important was that to you, to building your vision, goal setting and all that, to building what you built today?
I always believed in the concept of planning. I mean, plans are never perfect, right? There is this quote that says, man creates plans and God laughs or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a quote. But that does not discount the importance of planning. I've always believed in setting a target and figuring out at a high level, at least, how we're going to go about achieving it. So I've done that for my business. I've done that for my personal portfolio. And I took that philosophy into the financing worlds of income properties, because here's what happens, especially for clients or Canadians who are looking to own multiple properties. There is actually an optimal path to getting financing if you want to grow your portfolio. You can't just go about it in a random fashion, because you can go to one bank and they do 5, and then you go to the other bank and they say, no, we can do anything else for you. And then you start to tap into expensive money unnecessarily. So my philosophy is, let's plan financing. Let's optimize how you're going to go about tapping into the best sources of money. And when you hit a milestone, let's plan the next round. And that's worked well. That helped us take, investor portfolios from 3 to 40 to 50 in a very strategic way.
That's amazing that you've managed to do that. And to your point, there's very few mortgage brokers or real estate brokers, and definitely no bankers that take that view, right? Because they don't really look at investor clients in that light, or definitely only 1 or 2. But I love the fact that you've created this plan. And when you start an investor on that journey, what's some of the first questions that you ask them?
So we first of all look at where they are. We look at where are they right now when it comes to their money capabilities, to their borrowing capabilities. So where are they? And then we discuss, obviously, where are they headed? How many properties are we going to need to create a certain, cash flow target, or to build up X number of dollars in net worth? What type of strategies are they going to focus on? And we help connect the dots for a lot of investors, because we are well connected in the investment community when it comes to, realtor partners, lawyer partners, contractors, property managers, and so on. So in some of these conversations, we help connect the dots for clients. So we want to know where they are. We want to know where they're headed. And then what we do is we say, okay, that's your long-term goal. Year 1, here are the number of properties you're going to want to acquire and the strategy you're going to focus on. Let's now work it backwards. Where's the money going to come from? Who's going to go on title? Is it your personal? Is it your corporation? How are we going to structure the deal? How are we going to make sure that the type of money you get will enable your success as an investor? You don't want to lock into these loans, because it's going to hinder your ability to take on money later. And that's how we start to put the puzzle together. And we actually give the investors something called the financing roadmap. And it outlines everything that we talk about, including opportunities to optimize or save. And then when investors go to market, they basically implement, and they're able to run a lot faster because they have that clarity. And then they come to us to, plan for the next round. So that's what the financing roadmap is about.
That's amazing. That definitely sounds like a very valuable piece of advice and map. How do you deal with the comment that most people are making? You see it all the time in the media now, especially the Canadian media, that talks about, the housing market's out of reach. We're never going to buy a property. We're to be renters forever. What do you say to those kind of people? What's their first step on this? And, they think that investing in real estate is only for the uber wealthy.
It's always a relative conversation. If you roll time back 30 years ago, you would have that same comment. Today, it's the same comment. Fast forward, it's going to be the same comment. That comment, I find, never goes away. The affordability comment is always there. But what I would say is there are ways to still get into the market that you may not be aware of. So to give you an example, some of the solutions, if someone has a down payment problem, maybe there are options to supplement that down payment with, either registered money or unsecured funds, or creative financing, or pull people together temporarily to buy something and eventually get someone out later. Like, there are ways to solve for certain hurdles that buyers see that they may not have thought about. I always say there is a solution for everything. Is it always apparent? No. Is it always easy? No. But there is a solution to everything. And if you're willing to take action and you're willing to take steps, you will find ways to get to where you want to get. And maybe sometimes it means an adjustment to the price. Maybe sometimes it means, you know what, let's get a property with a rental unit so that now there is more income that we can work with. Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to expand upon that, have you expand on that a little bit, because I think from what I've heard so far, you've spent a lot of time with your clients, obviously the goal setting and all that, but a lot of time educating, learning. You're probably learning and adapting to these market changes too, right? So can you talk about the importance of that part of educating your clients, educating yourself, and then being able to maybe take the emotion out of it and be able to adapt to change?
Yes. So in real estate and the mortgage market, Peter, as you know, the news gets excited, the media gets excited, and everywhere you turn, there is a big headline, and there is, you know, the highlight of the day about the prices sinking or the rates going up. It's just like a lot of anxiety and panic that sometimes get created. So I always tell clients, yes, you don't want to put your head in the sand when the market is changing and you obviously want to know what's happening, but it's best to talk to people who are in it every single day and not just go read the headlines or talk to family and friends about the market. Go to experts who are in it every single day, who know the rules behind the scene every single day, breathing them every single day, and ask questions and educate yourself. So we proactively go out to our clients and help them stay informed about changes, what it really means to them, and most importantly, what can they do about it? Because in a market like the one we're in right now, where the rates have gone up significantly over a short time period, and a lot of things are happening all at once, some clients are feeling the pressure and they're feeling overwhelmed. And I tell people, you have options, you have control. You just need to educate yourself, talk to the people who can give you the right advice, and then ask for help. And there are solutions. There are things that you may not have thought about, but once you start the right conversations, you know, opens up your horizon. So we're big on education and explaining what are the impacts, what do you do about it, how can you proactively deal with things versus, you know, taking a reactive approach. Yeah, that's something we do on a regular basis.
That's amazing, and I wish more people did that. You know, really just give first. And the one thing, you and I have known each other for quite a while now, and one thing that's always impressed me about you and your whole office is you're a give first kind of organization, where you're willing to just put great information out there, and your clients, whether they end up, you know, working with you, which hopefully they do, they leave your office with information they can take an action on, and that's just awesome. What is the first start though, when somebody really wants to get in as an investor? And you know, there's active investors and there's passive investors, and you hear about home flippers, and there's a whole smorgasbord of things that. So if somebody wants to start in real estate, other than calling your office, which of course would be an amazing thing to do, what's their first step? How do they start?
So there are, like you said, Chad, there are so many strategies out there. There is no shortage of information on how to make money in real estate and what's the flavor of the day and what's cool and what's not. You know, there's so much out there. And I always ask clients to speak with someone who can sit down with them and understand their risk appetite, understand, you know, obviously what resources they have access to, understand what their goals are. And then that's typically a realtor who's not just transactional based, but local market expert, mortgage broker, lawyer is obviously important, but the accountant. So coming together to understand the client's goals, risk appetite, and understand them, and then we come forward with a recommendation, say, you know what, if you're looking to get into your first property and you live here, you know, maybe you shouldn't go to the US and buy your first property. You should, you know, look at this market that is just within an hour drive, because you can feel and touch the property and you're still getting your fingers wet, and that's still a good market. If you are someone who is willing to take higher risk and you're looking to make money quicker, okay, fine. Maybe a flip is a better option for you, but do you have contractors by your side? So my point is, the money conversation is important, but also understanding the needs and the risk profile and the goals are very important. And that's a combination of the broker, the realtor, the accountant, and any other advisor they have on their team coming together to help the client determine what that is, versus listening to someone on a podcast who says, oh, you know what? I've been flipping properties in Windsor and I've made $200,000 on my flip, and it's just like, 30 days flip, and they go and jump at it because it sounds good.
Yeah. And, I think that speaks maybe to me, what I got from that is understand yourself before you even get started on any of this. And I'm going to add to this, because I think a lot of people, we talk about how to get started and all that, everybody thinks they're alone. Can you maybe expand on collaboration, how important that is as an investor, or even for you running your business too?
I believe, no one can do it on their own. There is value in perspective. There is value in collaboration. And we all have blind spots in our decision-making process, right? There is always a blind spot. And without talking to others who may be even more senior than us, I love talking to, as much as I love talking to everybody, I love talking to people with gray and white hair who are, have walked a path before me, whether it's investing or entrepreneurship, you name it, and just listen to what they have to say, because they've walked a path that I may have not, and they may see things beyond my blind spots. And that's huge. So it's the same thing in business, in investing, and I invite people to do the same. We all self-educate sometimes and sign up for tons of things to learn through, but find that advisor, I would say, that would see things you may not see. And of course, you want to make sure they're experienced, and it's not just a marketing pitch. There are lots of marketing pitches out there. You want to make sure they're experienced, they've actually got scars and they've done it themselves, for them to see blind spots and to give valuable perspective in anything.
Absolutely. One of the things I often ask mentors that I approach is, tell me about when you failed. Tell me about the deal that went bad, and what did you do? And you gauge the reaction. That's because many of them are only talking about the successes, and we've all had lots of successes, but the rubber really meets the road when you have a challenge.
Yeah, that's a great question.
No, that's amazing. So what was your first property? How did you first start out in your investing journey?
My first property, which I still own, is a small townhouse in Barrie on Montserrat Street. That's south west of Barrie. And I purchased that property after 5 years of analysis paralysis. I was working at the bank at the time.
I couldn't imagine that at all. You never do that.
But never, right? I was working at the bank at the time, and I saw my mutual fund portfolio evaporate. My husband and I, was it 2008 or 2009? We had no control over where the markets were headed, and we just felt like we had no control. And I started to learn about real estate, like anybody else who gets into real estate starts typically with The Rich Dad Poor Dad, which was the book I read at the time. And it took me a while before I made a move because we're paranoid about using our home equity for the down payment. But once we've got over that hurdle, wow. Firstly, we regretted not doing it sooner. And secondly, we started to rinse and repeat, because we started to see the power in building wealth using real estate. Obviously, you still have to do your diligence and make sure the numbers work and all of that. But that's how it started.
Mm-hmm. There's the great joke is, when is the best time to buy real estate? It was yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Or 20 years ago, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you, I'm going to change it up just a little bit. I want to ask a little bit about, what you do to work on mindset, your daily routine, that kind of stuff. Because I think that's a good piece for people to understand too, is, how do successful people, do what they do in the same 24 hours that everyone else does.
I spent quite a bit of time trying to learn techniques from other successful people. And here is what works for me right now. And I live by it, and it made a huge difference in my happiness level, calmness, and also productivity and growth on the personal and business front. So what I do is I stick with a morning routine every day, and it's non-negotiable. I get up at 5:30 in the morning. Obviously, I need to go to bed at a decent hour in order to get up at 5:30. So I put sleep is a priority for me. And if I'm not sleeping, I am very cranky, and I'm not a person you want to be around. So sleep is a priority. I wake up at 5:30, and then I spend the early hour of the day exercising. I exercise every day for 45 minutes, primarily strength training and some cardio. And then I read. I feed my mind with some empowering things, whether it's a skill that I want to develop or whether it's a new perspective, just things that empower me and inspire me. And then I do a little bit of meditation, and then I plan my day. That's typically my morning routine. And then during the day, I make sure I have blocks of time. So if you look at my calendar, I have a lot of colored blocks. There is a block for breaks. There is a block for kids. There is a block for a walk with my dog. There is a block for everything, even a block for a shower. That's how tedious it is. But I believe that if it's not blocked on the calendar, it will not happen. This way, I found that the blocks, it makes us more intentional about how we spend our time. And if there is no block, it's just now by chance. If I have time, it will get done. If I don't have time, it wouldn't get done. So I block my time for the things that matter. And then the mornings are typically my most productive time from 9 a.m. till about 1 before my energy starts to go. So I put all of my high value activities in that early segment of the day. So that works for me really well. The morning routine, blocking my calendar, making sure that I start my day with the high value activities, making sure that my calendar has time for myself, time for fun, time for business. And it's not just, look at everything else only if I am done with my business day. So that worked really, really well. And just sleeping and making sure also that I eat healthy. How my body feels impacts how my mind feels, I find. So all of these things combined really, really made a huge difference for me.
How about planning time off and all that? How do you fit that in?
So Sundays I do Sunday planning religiously. So Sundays is when I plan my week. And then I have my monthly reflect and plan for the month, and my quarterly and my annual as well.
That's amazing. And, it's a theme, Peter, I've seen through most of our guests is, a strict sort of morning routine is something that is a theme that repeats. And I was reading some philosophy yesterday, and I love the quote. It was, "Be strict with yourself, but flexible with others."
Love that quote.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, that really impacted me for that exact reason. Just like what you're saying, it's keep your schedule and how impactful it can be.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
For you, what is you've built what you built to this point. What is your kind of vision for the next 5 years or so?
I enjoy growth, and I enjoy finding solutions to complex issues. So I am not intending on slowing down. And for me, growth is on all fronts. I want to grow the business. I want to grow personally, from a health standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, from financial standpoint. So I'm always looking for ways to continue to stretch and to continue to grow. And by growth, by growing the business, I can serve many more people, and that's something I really enjoy. So despite the challenges in the mortgage market right now and the real estate market, I strongly believe there is still opportunity for providing solutions, for providing advice, for helping people during these times, and finding new ways of doing things in general. So I am not anticipating, a plateau or a slowdown. I see a good future still for the next 5 years.
Can you speak to that part? You just mentioned opportunity. So especially during down times, how much opportunity there is out there that people are taking advantage, that a lot of people are maybe shying away from, thinking there's trouble ahead?
So if you read about wealth, you'll continue to see that some business owners or wealthy folks made up their fortunes during recessions or during downtimes, right? When everyone is fearful, that's when those who have the courage, the desire to continue to move forward, will find ways to capitalize on opportunities that surface during these times. For example, I know the mortgage rates are up right now, but the property prices are also down. Properties are sitting on the market for longer in some cases, and you can negotiate vendor financing. We're seeing it here. We're seeing vendor financing on even residential properties, where I used to see it more on commercial properties. So real estate is a numbers game. If there are deals and the numbers work, and you're holding for the long term, and you're not flipping, or you're not taking a risky strategy during a cycle, then it will pay off, and you will pick up better deals. Right now, in my view, you can negotiate better, in my view. So that is on the real estate front. On the business front, I mean, during recessionary times and during challenging times, some businesses tend to retract, and some people just want to hide in their shell and do nothing and wait and see, and get paralyzed and get scared because of all of the noise. And I think that's the time where we go out, we offer the solutions, we extend the hand, we add perspective, we shed light, we give clarity. We actually continue to move forward despite the fear. So, and that all pays off, because if we're just all going to sit here and go, oh my God, the rates are up and the values will collapse, and just focus on the problems, that's not going to take anybody anywhere.
Absolutely.
There are problems, but what are the solutions? Where are the opportunities? How do we keep moving forward? And it's scary, but that's what makes the difference between someone who will succeed and come out of this versus someone who will retract.
Yeah, you're Peter. I think you'll rename him Mr. Quote Master or something. But it brings to mind is "Fortune favors the brave," which is when you're talking. That's what I'm feeling. It's you see those opportunities in markets where people are too scared to act, and that's something I've always done in my career. And I've seen, to your point, almost every successful person is doing that. They're taking their calculated risks, but they're not risky. People think entrepreneurs, you're all about, you'll take on risk, and they're actually very risk avoidant. You're very risk avoidant because you calculate, you go through, you look at all the pros and the cons, but you're not scared to act, and that's the big difference I see.
Yes, you've nailed it, Chad. Calculated risk is the key, right? So how much am I taking for the return, and what's my downside? How am I hedging? Right?
Yeah, Absolutely. So you've mentioned a lot about your team and getting a team and asking questions from professionals, and something that I've come across a lot in the real estate marketplace, but this carries forward with all professions, no matter what you want to get into. You want to learn from other people that are ahead of you. But as you and I know, there's a lot of, people in this industry in particular, but many of them that, say they're really exceptional and they know what they're doing, but they're not. It's all veneer. They don't really have the experience behind them. So to our listeners, what would you suggest, maybe some questions that they could ask somebody if they're going to advice, or they're seeing a guru, they want to get a coach, how can they separate the people that are really know their stuff versus the people just trying to sell them a $30,000 course?
Yes, that's a great question. It's not easy, but it's doable. So one of the things that I find people shy away from is asking questions. Someone comes across as a guru, or they have a great marketing, presence, or great, but ask questions. My mentor at some point said, and I'll never forget this, he said, "Dalia, who are you getting your advice from?" So I go to a bank, speak with a financial planner, and I used to work for a bank, and I'm not discounting the expertise of anyone here, but if I am talking to a planner who's recommending that I put my money in a product, okay, and telling me that this product is great for me, have they actually put their own money in that product? Have they actually built their wealth in that product? And if they build their wealth in that product, why are they working for a bank for a $50,000 salary?
Yeah.
So I am not shy about asking questions. And actually, there is no shame in asking questions, in a respectful way. So ask questions. You're asking me to sign up for this. Okay. How many properties do you own? Where have you owned your properties? What strategies? Can you show me an example of a deal that you've worked through? Tell me about a deal that went sideways. Ask about and someone who believes, if you see the person going, "Oh, you don't trust me," or, walk away.
Run.
Walk away, because you know what? If I've done it, I'll show you happily what I've done. Okay? That's one. So ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask these questions. Google people. You will be amazed by what Google says these days. Right? Google people, see what the reviews are like, what people are saying, what are you seeing? Ask for references. And yes, references nobody's going to give a reference that's going to say something bad about them. But the answers to the questions you get will depend on the question you ask. So ask questions that will give you more details versus a yes and no answer. That's what I would do.
Absolutely. Years ago, I was doing a tenant reference check on one of my properties, and I always called, my way to weed out tenants was always calling their employers, and which surprisingly not a lot of landlords do. So I remember, I'll never forget this one time. I called one of these gals' employers, and let's say her name was Jane, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm calling. I'm the landlord, and she's applying for an apartment, and I'd like to know, does she work there?" She says, "Yep, Jane works here." I say, "Okay, is she a good person?" And he says, "Well, I can confirm that she works here." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Let me ask you a question. If you owned a rental property, would you rent to her?" And he says, "Sir," he goes, "the only thing I can actually say to you is I can confirm that she works here. Do you understand what I'm saying?" And I'm like, "Great, thank you very much." And to your point is, sometimes what they don't say. And I'm like, yeah, scratch that tenant off the list.
The answers to the questions will depend on the questions you ask.
Absolutely. What a great start. And I love your point about going into the bank portfolio manager. It's I'll never forget my mom telling me a story about that, where she had, people often trying to approach her saying, "Invest your portfolio," and her answer would always, you learn, right? We don't think our kids are listening to us, but they really are. And I remember listening to my parents as I was growing up, and I remember her saying to the person, "Okay, well, great. You bring over your portfolio, and I'll look at what your portfolio is and how the returns are doing, and then I'll determine if I'll work with you." And they would never answer. They're like, "Oh, thank you. Sorry." That's amazing. So what's your next steps? Well, Peter already kind of said that you're growing your business. Is there any type of books and courses that you're investing in? What's your next part of your education where you're going?
I'm working on a book right now about private money.
Mm-hmm. Are you working on writing a book?
Yes.
Awesome. Congrats.
I'm writing a book. It's launching soon. It's about private money.
Mm.
We're expanding our private money practice as well, coming to market with some exciting products and solutions. So that is something I'm excited about. It's happening soon, and that's the next thing for StreetWise, the brokerage that I run.
That's I think you've done a really good I think just to kind of wrap all this, put this in a wrapper is really hard to, because we kind of covered a whole lot in this time. But I think I think it's such a good conversation to understand kind of how people can build it, and build, like, you didn't just like show up, right? There's a lot of things that came to for you to be able to build what you've built. There's so many people that think that, oh, you have to be a certain type of person to do whatever. You worked in a T4 job, left, and built, and been really prolific in this field, right? And you're able to now take that and share that with others and pass on. And now this will be multiple books and expanding and thinking of a bigger future. So maybe we can, as we kind of wrap this, maybe talk about kind of how people can get connected with you, resources, all that kind of stuff. How can people learn more about you and what you can deliver to the investor community?
Yes, happy to. But I just want to make a quick comment about what you just mentioned, getting to this point, coming from a T4 position, and people thinking that you need a certain personality or you're born with something to be able to succeed or build a business. All of that is not true. Just commenting on what you shared. Really, it's about adding value, doing the hard work, keep going, surround yourself with people who can help you and guide you, right? And that's really it. And say no to certain things that don't align with values, don't align with doing the right thing, and then money will come and success will come. That's really the summary of it. And for us, we love being of service to clients who are looking to build a real estate portfolio, and even clients who are experiencing challenges in this environment right now with their mortgages and need advice and need solutions. Anyone can reach us at info@streetwisemortgages.com, book a strategy session, get a second opinion, plan their future financing. And we share a lot of education. You can follow us on social media at StreetWise_investor. That is our social media handle. And we actually have an event I'm putting together on September 23rd and 24th. I don't know if this episode is going to be launched by then, but it's something called the cash flow recharge, providing Canadians with solutions to alleviate the cash flow pressure that many are experiencing right now because of the rising rates.
Well, Dalia, I appreciate it. You coming on and sharing your story. Chad, you want to add some final words?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, to echo, thank you so much. You are a pleasure to hear from and learn from, and to count myself as a friend of you and your organization. It means a lot, and I've always noticed that you're providing a lot of value. So that's so important. Today we covered in this episode, really being disciplined with yourself, right? Learning, getting up your morning routine, not being scared to take risks, and learning from your mentors. And everybody can do that, no matter what field you're looking for or that you're interested in doing. It applies to everything, not just real estate. It applies if you're a business owner or just selling mittens that you're making at home. It's all applicable. And I'm really thankful and appreciative that you took this time with us. Make sure that if you're interested to find more about Dalia and StreetWise, to go to her website and her social media handles, and say it once again for us. So make sure the listeners got it.
Yes, info@streetwisemortgages.com and streetwise_investor is our social media handle.
Wonderful. And for this podcast, please pickyourlane.com. If you're interested, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends, share it on social media if you found this valuable. It really helps us grow our audience and keep providing great content to everyone that we have. Thank you very much, and have an amazing evening.
Peter, Chad, thank you very, very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you for joining the Pick Your Lane podcast. You can find more episodes on the podcast platform of your choice. Chad and Peter welcome you to visit their site, pickyourlane.com, for access to more content from our guests. There you will find curated interviews, education, and some offerings that will help you pick your lane on the way to financial freedom.